David Wood, what would you rather someone be, a Muslim or an atheist, and why?
An atheist at this point, because it's very common to say, okay, it's great, Muslims believe in God, they believe in Jesus to an extent, they believe in miracles and all this, so we'd have a bunch of common ground, but for purposes of Islam taking over the world and shaking that up a bit, I think it's good if people convert to anything else until some of that power structure is broken.
How long have you been involved in apologetics against Mohammedism, which is what I like to call it, Mohammedism?
A little bit way when I was locked up. So this was in the 1990s, and but Muslims weren't the main alternative back then. The alternative was a cult called the Five Percenters. They were a more radical offshoot of the Nation of Islam. And so, but they were the biggest like non-Christian group, and so had more interactions with them. But I did know Muslims, hung out with Muslims. That's why I started studying a little bit. It was basically whatever they told me, I would go and look it up.
So in prison, you were encountering Muslims, and this is why you got into apologetics.
Yeah.
Okay.
To an extent, I would react to whatever anyone was saying. So any cult or anything, they started talking to me. I was like, oh, well, give me your sources and stuff like that, and I would go start looking it up. But I really started after in 2001. Because I became best friends with Nabil Qureshi. And at that point, I was just studying Islam just because my best friend was a Muslim. If he'd been a Mormon or something, I would have been studying Mormonism. But he was a Muslim, and then eventually he became a Christian about 4 years later. And I actually thought, cool, I'm done with Islam. That was the only reason I was studying Islam. And it was kind of watching the stand that he took for Jesus that I realized, maybe I need to keep on. Maybe I need to keep up with this. And even before that, it was everyone started attacking him. Like he got his first death threat attached to his car. And it was about a month. He hadn't even been announcing it. So very few people knew. And he got his first death threat attached to his car. And then I was just thinking, I can't leave him by himself to face people who are going to be hostile towards him. And so it was, you're going to have to talk to both of us. But yeah, over time, I realized, wow, these guys make really cool Christians. And there's, by the way, there's a reason for that, really important reason. So you take a Muslim, they're basically raised from the time they're born to believe that the worst possible sin you can commit is shirk. It's the worst sin.
Which is what?
Shirk, that's associating a partner with Allah. So if it's not just Allah alone, if it's anything else, Trinity, Jesus is the Son of God, that's all shirk. It's the unforgivable sin. Doesn't mean you can't be forgiven of it. It means that's the only one Allah won't forgive if it hasn't been repented of. Meaning you could be a murderer and he might just forgive you and you don't know. Shirk, he guarantees he's not going to forgive you of that. And so Muslims are raised all their life basically to understand if you say Jesus is Lord or Jesus is the Son of God, that is the worst possible sin. Well, guess what? That's what we're preaching. They also understand that if they convert, very, very, very high probability that they're going to lose their families. And you basically get two versions of this. You basically get what you just converted, get out of here. We don't ever want to talk to you again unless you come back as a Muslim. And then you'll have the others who spend a year or two trying to convert the person back. So they'll take you around to Muslim scholars and so on to try and convert you back to Islam after you've left Islam. And Nabil's family was like that. His dad took him around the world, to Europe and to Canada to talk to various Muslim scholars. To try and convince him to come back to Islam. But
could you also, in this story, tell people who Nabil was, for those who aren't familiar?
Oh, yeah. Nabil was just another student. I got out of prison and took a communications class, and I gave a speech. And the professor ran the speech and debate team. And she said, you should come check out the speech and debate team. I think you'd fit in well. That's where I met Nabil. Nabil joined the speech and debate team as well. That's where we met. And then you go to competitions at other schools. And so we went on a school trip. We ended up in a hotel room together. And at that point, all I knew was his name was Nabil Qureshi. So he's some sort of Muslim, but that doesn't tell you if he's liberal or devout or what. And so I had no idea. But we get in the hotel room. I go on my bed and I'm reading the Bible in a year. And I'm in Isaiah at that point. And so I'm reading Isaiah. And see this guy out of the corner of my eye unpacking. And then I see him pull out his prayer rug. And I was like, okay, he's at least devout enough to bring a prayer rug on a couple days school trip. So doesn't seem terribly liberal here.
The College of St. Joseph the Worker is an amazing college where students combine higher education with hands-on trades and Catholic formation. Go to collegeofstjoseph.com/MattFrad.
But then I start praying. This is right after 9/11. And I start praying and I say, okay, God, if you want me to talk to this guy, can you have him start the discussion? Because I don't want everyone saying I'm attacking the Muslim because of 9/11 or something like that. Right. And right after I said that, all of a sudden he goes, so are you a hardcore Christian?
Did he say it like that?
Yeah, exactly like that. Like that weird tone and stuff. Are you a hardcore Christian? And I said, yes, I am. And that started our discussions that weekend, and we just ended up becoming best friends really quickly because other people on the team, they would, like after the competitions, they would like go out to clubs and stuff like this. We weren't interested. So every trip like that, we always ended up hanging out in the room together, and we would inevitably start talking about Christianity and Islam. And we both loved it. We both loved arguing about the stuff. So we got along really well, and we just became best friends really quick. So, it was about 4 years later, he became a Christian after we spent probably the first 2 to 2.5 years focusing almost exclusively on Christian topics. So we were talking about, did Jesus die by crucifixion? Did he rise from the dead? What did he claim about himself? Is the New Testament reliable? Mm-hmm. We were talking about those over and over again. And eventually we started talking about what about Muhammad and the Quran here? What about these claims about Muhammad and the Quran? So we started looking into that. And
so up until this point, it was more you on the defensive with him the questions?
Yeah, and that's pretty, keep in mind, I'm learning as I go. I'm learning how to interact with Muslims as we go. And historically, that's pretty standard. And you can see why. The emphasis in Christianity is always be prepared to give a defense for the hope that you have, right? That's what we're commanded to do. We're commanded to give a defense for what we believe. In Islam, it's just attack the Jewish positions, attack Christian positions. It's all attacking. And so you get into a discussion, it's normally, hey, the Trinity doesn't make sense. Hey, how can you believe that Jesus is God? Where did he say, I am God, worship me? Your Bible's been corrupted. All these things, all these attacks, and then Christians trying to defend it. Well, that's just the pattern we kind of fell into. But after a while, it just hit me like, why aren't we talking about whether your guy's a prophet? And why aren't we talking about whether your book is the word of God? Why don't we apply the standards we're applying to my beliefs, to your beliefs? And
at that point, did you have the sort of friendship where he wasn't fully defensive?
Yeah, and that's really, really good. That, as far as I can tell, is like the best scenario, having two friends discussing these issues. Because we agreed early on, like probably in the first, it might have been that first series of discussions we had, like that weekend. If not, it was very soon after that where we basically laid some groundwork and concluded there are three possibilities here. Either you're right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong, or we're both wrong. We agree that we're not both right because we're saying completely contradictory stuff. So it's possible that something else is true and that we're both wrong. But we don't believe that we're both wrong. We believe that one of us is right on this because you believe one thing, I believe. So we're agreeing on the fact that one of us is right in this. And if one of us is right, we have to take it seriously that God put us together in that room to have these discussions so that whoever's right can convince whoever's wrong. And therefore, we need to take this seriously. It's not a joke. We're taking it as like a task from God that we have to get to the bottom of this. And that if we ever abandon that it's like we're abandoning a mission from God.
So at that point, were you genuinely open to the truth of Islam?
No. And he wasn't genuinely open to the truth of Christianity. Like, I believed I'm here from God to talk to this dude. He believed he's there from God to get things across to me. So, so we ended up having these discussions for a long time. It was about 4 years later that he became a Christian. Even before that, his confidence in Islam was dropping. But he was compensating by acting more devout. Like, he started signing his emails, humble servant of the truth, blah, blah, blah. Like, you don't talk like that. What are you doing? But there's this tendency to compensate when you're starting to have doubts. And that's good advice for everyone. If you have a Muslim friend and you're talking to a Muslim friend, because I hear this all the time, like, David, I've been trying to talk to my Muslim friend, but the more reasons I give him, the more bold in Islam he seems. Like, yeah, that's pretty much every time.
You want him.
It's pretty much every time. And so, so he eventually left Islam. It was a big issue for his family and parents and everyone, but I saw the stand that he was taking.
Thank you very much for watching that Pints with Aquinas clip. If you like it, do me a favor, click like and subscribe, and please offer a Hail Mary for the work of Pints with Aquinas and all the people we're trying to reach. God bless you.